Hi guys, I'm Mona Lisa A. De Ramos, reporter for today. I'm going to discuss Indifference Curve Analysis, an alternative approach to understanding consumer choice. Economists typically use a different set of tools than those presented in the chapter up to this point to analyze consumer choices. While somewhat more complex, the tools presented in this section give us a powerful framework for assessing consumer choices. We will begin our analysis with an algebraic and graphical presentation of the budget constraint. We will then examine a new concept that allows us to draw a map of consumers' preferences. Then we can draw some conclusions about the choices a utility maximizing consumer could be expected to make. As we have already seen, a consumer's choices are limited by the budget available. Total spending for goods and services can fall short of the budget constraint but may not exceed it. Algebraically, we can write the budget constraint for two goods X and Y as Let's bring the budget line and indifference curve together. I will explain how a consumer maximizes utility within a given budget constraint. You will see on the picture a plot of a budget line and three separate indifference curves. So yung IC1, yun yung lower level utility than IC2, which represents a lower level utility than IC3. As you can see, yung letter A is nakatapat siya sa 4 box and 2 pieces of cheese. So kapag minultiply mo yung 4 box of cheese to its price at saka yung 2 piece of cheese to its price, ang magiging equal nun is yung income na 1,250. And yung letter B naman, nakatapat siya sa 2 box and 6 pieces of cheese, so yung price nun equal din sa 1,250. And letter C, 1 box and 9 pieces of cheese. So dun sa tatlo nating plinat na letter, yung letter B is the highest level of utility given the budget constraint. As you can see, yung IC1 or indifference curve 1 is mababa nga lang daw yung utility na kaya niyang ibigay, and IC2 naman is yun nga yung preferred na utility or the higher level. And yung IC3 naman, mataas nga siya pero hindi naman siya within the budget line. So guys, wag po tayong malilito sa terminologies. Yung budget constraint kasi, siya yung nagre-represent ng all combinations of goods and services that a consumer may purchase given current prices within his or her given income. Samantalang yung budget line naman is graphical representation of all possible combinations of two goods which can be purchased with given income and prices, such that the cost of each of these combinations is equal to the money income of the consumer. So, bakit nga ba nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na indifference curve? So, ito nga daw ay dahil sa consumer preference na may paniniwalang hindi natin mabibilang or mamimeasure ang satisfaction ng tao in monetary terms. So, tingnan naman natin kung anong mangyayari kapag nagkaroon ng changes sa price ng cheese. As you can see, nung di pa nagbabago ang price ng cheese, yung B is the preferred combination. Pero nung nagbago yung price, our budget line shifts inward and the new point of preference is D. It represents a lower amount of total goods due to the rise in the price of cheese. I hope clear po kahit hindi ganun kaganda yung drawing ko. Now, let's see naman po kapag ang nagbago is yung income. Just like the changes in price, this results in shifting the budget line inwards. The initial utility maximizing point would be point B because it is part of the budget line that touches. or is tangential to the farthest possible indifference curve, IC3. Kung titingnan ulit natin yung point that is tangential to the farthest possible indifference curve, it is now the point Y.
And now let's proceed to marginal rate of substitution. So itong marginal rate of substitution, ito yung rate at which a consumer is prepared to exchange a good X for Y. So I will give a simple example. As you can see, there are 4 columns and 4 rows. On the first column, you will see the combination A, B, C, D, and the second column is food 1, 2, 3, 4 unit, and clothing 12, 6, 4, and 3, and MRS on the fourth column 0, 6, 2, 1. On the first row, the consumer has 1 unit of food and 12 pieces of clothing and 0 MRS. On the combination B, the consumer has 2 units of food and the clothing of 12 becomes 6. So, ibig sabihin si consumer nag-give up siya ng 6 clothing for 1 unit of food. So, ang MRS niya is 6. On the combination C naman, yung food niya is naging 3 unit and the clothing becomes 4. Ibig sabihin naman, nag-give up siya ng 2 clothing for 1 unit of food again. So, ang MRS niya is 2. And last combination, the combination D, yung food niya is naging 4 and the clothing becomes 3. Ibig sabihin naman, nag-give up siya ng 1 clothing for 1 unit of food again. Therefore, MRS of X for Y is the amount of Y whose loss can be compensated by a unit gain of X, keeping the satisfaction the same. As the consumer accumulates more units of food, the MRS starts falling, meaning the consumer prepared to give up fewer units of clothing for food. There are 2 reasons for this. Number 1, as the consumer gets more units of food, his intensity of desire for additional units of food decreases. And number 2, most of the goods are imperfect substitutes for one another. If they could substitute for one another perfectly, then MRS would remain constant. Ito naman is ipapakita ko yung naging graphical representation ng marginal rate of substitution together with the indifference curve. So, makikita natin dito na nakabuo tayo ng isang indifference curve. This is only my example. If you want more, you can search more example on the internet.
Second to the last of my report is i-explain ko lang what is marginal benefit and marginal cost. So, itong marginal benefit, ito yung benefit from each additional increment or unit. Samantalang, yung marginal cost naman is the cost from each additional increment or unit. For example, Bob has 1 burger and he can decide if he should buy another 1 burger. So the benefit of having an additional burger would be taste and additional flavor. However, the cost of having an additional burger are the food costs. It's unhealthy and it could be potentially cause heartburn. After close thinking, he decides that the marginal cost is higher than the marginal benefit, so that he only purchases 1 burger. Last part of my report is the key takeaways. First bullet, a budget line shows combination of 2 goods a consumer is able to consume given a budget constraint. Second bullet, an indifference curve shows combination of 2 goods that yield equal satisfaction. And third bullet, to maximize utility, a consumer chooses a combination of 2 goods at which an indifference curve is tangent to the budget line. Fourth bullet, at the utility maximizing solution, the consumer's marginal rate of substitution or the absolute value of the slope of the indifference curve is equal to the price ratio of the 2 goods. Last bullet, we can derive a demand curve from an indifference map by observing the quantity of the good consumed at different prices. This video is all about the assigned topic to me, Chapter 7.3, Indifference Curve Analysis, an alternative approach to understanding consumer choice. I reported this topic based on what I understand it. That's all I hope you learn with this video. Thank you.